Because of the vast chunk of time between the modern world and Greece in the 8th century BC, little is known about the life of the historical Homer. Or if he was even an actual person. Now, custom dictates that he was a blind poet who wandered about the Greek Isles sometime around the 8th century BC. And the composition of his two works, the Iliad and the Odyssey, were probably oral at the time. The events of the poet's work are, of course, mostly legendary, but it's conjectured that a war between the Achaeans and Troy did take place sometime in the 12th or 13th century BC. According to the myth, the Trojan War all started with an apple. What is it with the apples and discord? And Eris, the goddess of strife, was pissed off that she wasn't invited to the wedding of Achilles' dad, Peleus. So Eris presented queen bee goddess Hera, Athena, the goddess of wisdom, who should have known better, and Aphrodite, goddess of bad moral choices, with a golden apple that was inscribed with "For the Fairest" on it. Now, what could go wrong here? The three gals got into a fight over who the apple should belong to. That must have been a tasty apple. Now, it just so happened that wandering by was a shepherd who just so happened turned out to be Paris, who just so happened to be the prince of the city of Troy, and he was slumming it with a flock of sheep. The gals forced him into choosing between power, wisdom, or love, and he chose bachelorette number 3, Aphrodite, and gave her the apple. Now, this immediately placed Hera and Athena's panties in a collective wad. Now, as a reward for Paris being so easily swayed, Aphrodite caused the most beautiful woman in the world, Helen, to fall in love with Paris. The only problem with this scheme was that Helen was already married to Menelaus, the king of Sparta, and he was now pissed when she lit out for Troy with her new boy toy. Menelaus convinced all the other Greek rulers to unite under his brother Agamemnon and sail for Troy, which is on the western coast of Turkey. Under Agamemnon were leaders such as Ulysses, Achilles, Ajax the Great, not to be confused with Ajax the Lesser, not to be confused with Ajax the Great, and Patroclus. That was Achilles' special buddy. Gathering up his fleet, Agamemnon set sail, but due to the interference of the gods, it took 10 years of sailing and general dithering with side quests to get to Troy. And waiting for them were the king of Troy, Priam, and his wife Hecuba. His military was led by Hector, and his second in command was Aeneas. Also, Paris was around, but he was busy attending to Helen's needs. The gods were also heavily interfering with the whole thing. Team Agamemnon included Hera, Athena, Poseidon, and Ares, while Team Priam included the triple A's of Apollo, Aphrodite, and Ares. And yeah, I said Ares twice. He was the bad boy of the gods who kind of liked to stir things up. It was up to Zeus to ref the whole thing. The Iliad opened with the Greeks on the beach, and since the battle had already raged for 10 years, they were getting antsy to win. Agamemnon's new girlfriend was a Trojan woman named Chryseis that he'd quote-unquote won in battle. Chryseis' dad asked Agamemnon for his daughter back, and the big A just laughed. So Dad prays to Apollo for help, and Apollo rains misfortune down on the Greeks. They then send their second-in-command, Achilles, to demand that Agamemnon send the girl packing. And Agamemnon just laughs. So Achilles seizes another of the Big A's prizes, a girl named Briseis. These are sick bastards. Both the Big A and Achilles are now ever so pissed at each other, and Achilles hides in his tent and pouts. When it's time to fight, he tells Agamemnon to F off, and to make matters worse, he asks his mom to pray to Zeus to help the Trojans. So Zeus now enters on the Trojan side. Now the rest of the Greeks go out to fight, and Hector throws a rock at Ajax, who says sticks and stones. Apollo then heals Ajax, giving him more cleaning power than before. However, Hector is able to push the Greeks back to the beach, and things are beginning to look grim for Team Agamemnon. Now, Achilles' BFF, Patroclus, begs Achilles to get out of his funk and go fight, and Achilles refuses like the whiny little bitch that he is. So Patroclus puts on his armor, saying this ought to work, and he enters the battle. Things are going good until Apollo intervenes, and he lowers Patroclus's wisdom to 3. Now, while this is normally a dump stat, Hector takes advantage of the situation and skewers the hapless Greek with a spear. And to add injury to insult, Hector takes Achilles' armor off of Patroclus. This must be one-size-fits-all armor. Now Achilles is pissed, enraged, infuriated, and has his general dander up. He calls up the Greek god Hephaestus and has him forge a new set of armor lickety-split, then he stomps off to avenge his special BFF. The Greeks push the Trojans back to the city, and Achilles and Hector finally face off while dramatic music plays. Now, after an interminable boss fight, Achilles stabs Hector in the throat, ties his body to a chariot, and drags it around Troy, which is a pretty classy move. Achilles practices abuse on the corpse for the next 12 days, but Apollo and Aphrodite keep the body squeaky clean to preserve the PG rating. Priam gives a bunch of stuff to Achilles, which are mostly clothes, to get Hector's body back, and then he proceeds to build a great pyre to burn it, in the Iliad. Now, when Achilles was a little bitty baby, his mama dipped him in that river, in that old Greek land back home. And she did this by holding him over the Styx by his heel, which was the only place he had an AC of 5. So Paris shoots an arrow at Achilles, and what do you know, he rolls a nat 20 with Apollo adding a DRM, and Achilles falls over dead. Still, the Trojans won't come out.
Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
And the Greeks ain't too bright, except for Odysseus, who comes up with the idea to stuff the Greeks into a giant horse and give it as a gift to the Trojans, who don't seem to be that bright either in that they accept it. So the Achaeans leave the horse outside the gates and they head off in their ship. And that night they sail back and the Greek soldiers creep out of the horse and they let their buddies into the city. What follows is a good old-fashioned slaughter, with those representatives of enlightenment, the Greeks, killing, burning, pillaging, and so on. With Troy destroyed, the triumphant Greeks then head home and are again beset by the gods, who dump side quests on them, and wacky hijinks ensue. Now, La Guerre De Troie, or the Trojan War, was published in 2006 by Vivictus Games, and it was designed by Friedrich Bay. Now, it's a magazine game, and it's fairly simple, but I think it does an interesting job of covering the Trojan War, at least as it was presented in the Iliad. And there's surprisingly not a lot of games that cover a lot of ancient Greek mythology, and particularly what's in the Odyssey and the Iliad. Now, the game uses a D10, and zeros are always read as 0. They're not a 10, they are a 0. The counters are heroes, and there are heroes for the Trojan side and the Greek side. And each hero counter has 3 values. And top to bottom, they are your power. That's followed by the special attribute in the middle. And then finally on the bottom is the resistance. And we'll talk about those when we talk about combat. To set the game up, you place the turn marker on the turn record track on turn 1, and the Trojan horse is placed on turn 12. The victory point markers are placed on 0, and then Priam, Helen, and Cassandra are placed in the house of Priam. You'll notice Priam looks an awful lot like Robert E. Lee here. Now, I'm going to mess these names up, but the Trojan heroes are placed on the Trojan camp, and the Greek heroes are placed in the Greek camp. The exceptions are Memnon and Penthesilea, who come into the game later, and the Greek heroes Neoptoleme, Philoctete, and Calchas are placed in the appropriate reinforcement spaces. Thersites, Sinon, Calchas, and Briseis are all placed in Achilles' tent. The armies are placed in their respective spaces on the map, and the gods are placed in an opaque deity container. The game covers the whole of the Trojan War in 12 turns, and turns 1 and 2 cover the events before the Iliad, turns 3 through 8 cover the events of the Iliad, turns 9 through 11 cover the events after the Iliad, and turn 12 covers the episode with the Trojan horse. Now, the first 11 turns follow the same sequence, but the 12th, or Trojan horse turn, has its own sequence. Each turn is divided into 4 phases. There's an event phase where you roll for a specific event, a reinforcement phase where you bring in new heroes, a combat phase between the individual heroes, and then finally a phase where the Trojan and Greek armies fight each other. Now, the event phase involves players either implementing a required event as indicated by the turn track, or if there's not a specific event, then they roll a D10 and determine the applicable random event that occurs. I've got a little table here that just shows the mandatory events. Now, the mandatory events follow pretty much what happens in the Iliad and the Odyssey. Those are listed on the turn track, and so, for instance, on turn 3, Agamemnon confiscates Briseis. So you place Briseis in Agamemnon's tent and Achilles in his own tent, and Achilles can then not take part in any of the challenges until Briseis returns to his tent or Patroclus is killed. Those occur on turn 3, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10. Some of these involve heroes being involved in a battle, and if one of the 2 heroes involved in a mandatory challenge is dead, then that event is canceled and nothing occurs during that turn. This will happen fairly commonly. Now, if one or both of the heroes are wounded, then I bring them back from the wounded status. On turns where there's no mandatory event, then you roll a d10, and if there's an event or counter or personage involved, you place it on the eveniment square. For instance, on a 0 or 9, there's no random event, but on the others, a random event would occur that may affect the battle between the heroes. For example, if you rolled a 7, then Priam, who's always wise and eloquent, calms the spirits of the combatants, and 2 hero combats can be canceled instead of just 1, and each player gets to choose. And you'll see how that works when we talk about the battles between the heroes. Reinforcement's pretty easy. When you land on that turn, you simply bring the hero on the reinforcement track to the respective camp. At the heart of the game is the combat between the individual heroes. What happens is each player selects 4 of their heroes and places them face down on the spaces marked heroes 1 through 4. And if there are not enough heroes remaining to one player to make it possible for him to select 4, then they assign all the remaining to the challenge. You then bring in specific gods who will act on behalf of certain heroes that they either favor or hate, and to represent this, each player draws a god from the deity cup and places it beside their heroes. The players then flip over their heroes, and on an odd number of turns, the Trojan player can select and cancel 1 combat. This is subject to events. And on even turns, the Greek player can select and cancel 1 combat. Now, each hero has a power rating, and what you're going to do is you're going to add a dice roll and a dice roll modifier to that power rating. So to do the dice roll, you roll a d10, and you add that to the power rating, and then you add a couple of dice roll modifiers. The first can be from events, and we've covered that a little bit. The second can be from the influence of the gods, and you look at the influence of the god table, and for each hero on their side, you add or subtract a dice roll modifier. So say, for instance, you pulled Apollo for the Greeks, you'd notice that on Achilles, he would have a -1 die roll modifier. If, however, the Greeks had Poseidon on their side that turn, then they would get a +1 modifier for Achilles. The next die roll modifier is the special attribute, and you look down at the little letter there in the middle, and you cross-index it on a table to the special attribute of who they're fighting. Say, for instance, a hero had a special attribute of force, or an F, and they were up against a hero that had a special attribute of habilité, or that would be skill. And so the hero with the force would get a +1 die roll modifier against the hero with habilité. And so both heroes will end up with a total modified score, and the hero with the higher score will be the winner. You'll take the difference between the winner's score and the loser's score, and that difference is going to be used to determine combat effects. So then you take the resistance of the losing hero and you subtract that die roll difference that occurred from the combat. And then you check the little table here, and if the result is below 0, then the losing hero is killed, and the winner gains 3 victory points. If the result is 0 or 1, the hero is seriously wounded and is unable to participate in challenges for 2 turns, and the winner gets 2 victory points. If the result is 2 or 3, the hero is slightly wounded and they can't participate in challenges the next turn, and the winner gains a victory point. And finally, if the result is higher than 3, the hero is unharmed and they retreat safely. However, the winner still gains a victory point. Now keep the winners on their little hero boxes, and then remove the losers either to the camps or the dead hero stack. When all the individual combats are done, then the 2 armies will clash. And this is a fairly simple rule. Each side rolls a d10, and you add the number of challenges won in the preceding individual combats. And the events and influence of the gods can also influence this a little bit. And the army that has the higher resulting number wins the battle, and if the results are equal, there's no effect. Otherwise, the victor receives 2 victory points. Now notice that the Greek victory points are expressed as negative, and the Trojan victory points are expressed as positives. At the end of the game, you'll take the difference between the two to determine victory conditions. Now, at the end of game turn 12, the Greeks deploy the Trojan horse stratagem. Basically, turn 12 just involves the stratagem of the Trojan horse. You don't run through all the little special phases like the previous turns. You place the Trojan horse on the record track, and the Greek player places all of the remaining heroes on the horse except for Agamemnon and Nestor. And wounded Greek heroes can be placed inside the horse and counted towards the total 7 required to gain the bonus point. You then figure up all your little bonus points, and if the final adjusted total is 6 or more, then the ruse of the horse succeeds. It's placed in the city of Troy, and that prefigures the fall of the city, and thus the Greeks win. Now, if the stratagem fails, but the victory point total is 0 or a negative number, then the result is a draw. And if the strategy fails and the victory point total is positive, then the Trojans win. So we're setting up La Guerre de Troie. If you want to play along with Vassal, go ahead. I can wait. Okay, there we go. And I've made my little cheat sheet. I basically put down a little place for the combat odds and everything just on a piece of scratch paper. You will need that. But let's go ahead and get started. Now, I went ahead and I rolled, starting with a random event. I pre-rolled this, so I apologize in advance, and I got an 8, which is Helene. Helene of Troy. De Troie appears on the ramparts. The heroes redouble their efforts. Those wounded are seriously wounded, and those seriously wounded are killed. So I pulled Helene, and then from the Greek camp, I pulled Achilles, Ulysses, Ajax, and Ajax. So both the Ajax boys are out there. From the Trojan camp, I went ahead and I flipped all these guys over. Since I'm playing with solitaire, I flipped all the heroes over, and then I drew 4 of them. And then I draw some gods. And we got Apollo for the Trojans and Zeus for the Achaeans, the Greeks. So I know Zeus, if you go to your Influence of the Gods table, you see an A behind everything, and that means that they cancel other influences. So Zeus basically has canceled any influence of the gods in this round. Okay, it's a Greek round, so first of all, let's flip our Trojans over. Okay, now the Greeks can go through and they can see who do they want to fight and not fight. Well, they got the advantage in everything but the Ulysses and Sarpedon fight, so I'm going to go ahead and send Sarpedon back to the camp. Ulysses will go. That's Ulysses is a combination of Odysseus and Ulysses. Okay, then I start to go through and do our combats, and we'll start with Achilles, and Achilles has a 6 for his power. He's up against Hector, who has a 5. And then we have Ajax has a 5 to Eurypylus' 3. I'm going to mess these names up so bad. 5 and 3, and then Polydorus is a 2 to Ajax's 4. So I got the Ajax brothers. Okay, the gods. Okay, Apollo is with the Trojans. Now, Apollo likes the Trojans, so he's going to give Hector a 2. He's going to give Eurypylus that's a other Trojan god. Let's see, that's a +2. He gives everybody, I guess, a 2. And then Polydorus a 2. And then, oh no, I forgot. I just forgot this. He doesn't give anybody anything because Zeus is there. So then we go through our special attributes. And let's see, Achilles has force against Hector's force, so nothing there. We have Ajax's force against Eurypylus' force, and then we've got, which is nothing, and then Ajax's vitesse, his speed, against Polydorus' H, which is his abilité, his skill. Okay, so V versus, let's see, V versus, let me pull down I'll show you guys the tables here. The tables are with the Vassal module, but I've got one over here on the side too. Oops. Characteristics. We've got a V versus H, so V is Vitesse versus H is a +1 for the V, which is Ajax. And then Polydorus has an H versus V, which probably is a 0. H versus V is a 0. Okay. Then we roll for everybody. So I've got 6 rolls. I've got a 2, 5, 7, 6. 2, 5, 7, 6. I'm writing this down on my notes. And then a 7, 7. Okay, they'll add it up. And then the first battle, Achilles gets a 8 versus Hector's 10. Okay. So Achilles is going to be wounded. But we'll come back to that. For Ajax, the older, he's got a 12 to a 9 from Eurypylus. So Ajax gets a 3. And then the other Ajax has a 5 and a 7. 12 to 9. Okay, by 2. Okay, let's go back through our combat results here. Now, So the Achilles-Hector fight, well, I guess they fought it out right away. That was a 2 to Hector. So if the result is, let's see, so 6 minus 2 is 4. And if the result is higher than 3, the hero is unharmed and retreats safely. But we count that as slightly wounded now. So Achilles is slightly wounded, which means he loses a round, and he'll probably end up in his tent before we go too long. So Hector won it, and the Trojans get a point. Okay, then we go to the this one here with Eurypylus. Okay, and that was a 3 towards Ajax, the elder, and since Eurypylus has a 3 for his resistance or his hit points, and he took 3 points of damage, that means he is killed. So we kill him off, and the Greeks get 3 points. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then Ajax and Polydorus. Okay, Polydorus was a 2, so Polydorus is now a 1. And if it's a 0 or 1, it's seriously wounded. However, since Helen's watching, Helene, he is killed too. Ah, this is getting bloody. 3, okay. And that, my friends, is the we gotta fight the battle. Gods don't matter, but the Greeks get a +2, the Trojans get a +1. They won 1, the Greeks won 2. So we'll start with the Trojans, and they get a 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. And then the Greeks get a 5 plus 2 is 7. So they win that one and get 2 more points. And then you send everybody back to camp. You send the gods back to Olympus. You send Helene back to Priam's house. And we go to round 2. And that's 1 round down. Okay, in this round, first of all, we start up with the, this is a random event's going to occur. We roll a 8, which is Helene is back. Okay, she wanders back in again. Okay. I was thinking here, it looks like, that looks like Stonewall Jackson. It looks like, again, it looks like Jackson and Lee. And Briseis looks a little bit young. That's a little sick. Okay. We can move these guys to their respective camps. And those are our reinforcements. Helene is back out there. Achilles is stuck. I guess we need the Greeks to come in. Okay, Achilles is out of battle because he's injured. I think we'll use our tough guys again. Hey, tough guy. Let's see here. Ulysses. We'll use Ulysses. And then for the Trojans, the Trojans, and the Greeks. I like how they say the Greeks and the Trojans. Just for sake of argument, I am going to take, one problem with this game is a lot of times Paris and Hector get killed off early. So particularly Paris. He's not that strong. So we're going to keep Paris, those 2 guys aside, because I want to keep the game flowing fairly smoothly. Try to get through all the rounds. Now, this may change because the Trojans have already taken 2 losses on the first round. So this may be a short game, which is okay if I'm making a video. Okay, and we unmask them. We look at the gods that are going to be coming in. And we've got Apollo for the Trojans, which is good, and Athena for the, she's working for the Greeks this time. Now, the Athena's not a fan of the Greeks, I don't remember. Right, yeah, she is. She is a fan of the Greeks, Apollo. Okay, so they're both going to get bonuses here in this next round. Let's see, this is a Trojan round. So the Trojans can withdraw from battle. Let's see, 4 to 4, 4 to 4, 5 to 5. Okay, I guess this one here with Agenor and Neoptoleme. We'll send them back to camp. So the Trojans have done that. we can go with we can start with the Ajax versus Sarpedon. That's a 5-5. Okay, the second battle is going to be between Diomede and Aeneas, 4-4. Ulysses versus Diphobe. Boy, I am terrible at these. You guys can correct me down below. Okay, Apollo is going to help out he's helping out the Trojans, so I think everybody gets a +2. So Trojans get +2, +2, +2. The Athena is helping out the Greeks, and let's see, she isn't. Ajax Senior is a -1. She doesn't like him. Okay, Ajax Senior -1. Diomede, he's got a +1. And then Ulysses, what does she think of Ulysses? He gets +3. She likes him a lot. Okay. Now we can do our, let's see, force versus force is nothing for the Sarpedon Ajax battle. For the Diomedes and Aeneas, Diomedes has an H versus a V, which is your Vitesse. It's a 0. However, let's see, a V, a Vitesse versus an H is a +1. So Aeneas gets +1, and then we go through and roll for everybody. I'm just going to go walk. 1, 4, 6, 1, 1. 4, 6, 1, 1. And then 5 and 7. 5 and 7. Oh, this is going to be bloody. Okay, 9 minus 1 is 8, 2, 9, 6. Let's see, 6, 7, 8. 13, 8. Okay, first battle with Sarpedon and Ajax. Oh man, he needed Athena. He shouldn't have pissed off Athena. Okay, Sarpedon versus Ajax is a difference of 5 towards Sarpedon. So Ajax gets a 4 minus 1. 4 for his hit points, minus 1 is 5, so it's a 0. So Ajax is killed. And the Trojans get 3 points. Okay, the next one, Diomede versus Aeneas. Okay, Diomede got a 4, 5, 6. And Aeneas got a 4, 6, 7. So Aeneas is by 1. So that's going to send Diomede back to camp and give the Trojans a +1. And then Ulysses versus Diophebe. Maybe it's Diophebe. Okay, this one's a high scoring. So 4 and 5 is 9, 10, 11, 12 to 4, 5, 6, 7, 14 to 12. So it's 2 to Diophebe. So 5, Ulysses is a 5 minus 2 is a 3. And that is, I always have to look these up. 2 or 3, slightly wounded. So he's out for a full round. Ulysses is. The bricks. So I can go to round 5. And then the winner gains 1. So the Trojans get 1. Okay. And then we go for our battle between the two sides. Now, Apollo's going to give him an overall +2. And Athena's going to give her side +1. And then the Trojans are also going to get a 3 for that, for winning those 3 battles. So they get a +5, which is a 5. 0 + 5. Remember that the 0 is always 0. It's not 10. And then the +1 for the Greeks. So, okay, so it's tied up. The Trojans win that one. And that's the end of round 2. So we'll send these guys back to camp, back to Olympus, and back to Priam's house. And we will go to round 3. We're up to round 3, so we'll move this forward. And this is, instead of a random event, we have a mandatory event. Agamemnon confiscates Briseis. Place Briseis in Agamemnon's tent and Achilles in his own tent, and Achilles cannot take part in challenges until Briseis returns to his tent or Patroclus is killed. So basically Achilles is out. She goes to Agamemnon's tent, He goes to Achilles' tent, and that is the random event. So Agamemnon's out for the combats. Then we can move the Greeks. Let's see, who are we going to use this time? Again, I think we've lost some tough guys, so I don't know, let's start with some of the wimpy Greeks and see what happens. Maybe we can if they get lucky. Wait, we got to see, is this a Greek or a Trojan round? I guess this is a Greek round, so yeah, we can do that. I'm going to use Antiloque, Eurypylus, and Idiomene, and Patroclus. Oh, I want to hold Patroclus back because he is a kind of important later, so we'll pull him back. Okay, then we go to our Trojan camp, and we've got these guys here, and the Trojans are going to be random, so we're going to randomize our Trojans. We used to do that in college, but and we will just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are fairly random. We'll pull our random gods out of the bucket of Olympus. We get Athena and Hephaestus. Okay, Athena, she don't like the Trojans, if I remember right. Is that true? Athena likes she likes the Greeks. And Hephaestus likes the Greeks, so maybe this will help the Greeks out a little bit. Let me grab my pencil and paper and we'll start to figure some odds. Oh, I better flip my Trojans. Okay. Oh, we got Sarpedon back again. Okay. So Antiloque has a 2 to Sarpedon's 5. Oh, Greeks can pull some guys. Well, okay, so that one's going to be the battle that most likely to lose. So I'll pull those guys back. Now, Erysipelas, that's a Three Stooges reference. 2 to 2. Erysipelas to Pilates. Okay, 2 to 2. We've got Idiomene, which is a 2 against Aeneas, who's a 4. And then I've got Menelaus versus Agenor. 3 and 3. Okay, the gods. Hephaestus is going to help out the Greeks. He's going to give +1 to everybody, but I guess so. All 3 Greeks get a +1. And +1, and then Athena does not like the Spartans that well, so she's going to give them nothing. Then we got to roll for our special attributes, and we've got a V versus V for the first battle, which is nothing, and then Idiomene has an E. He's got experience versus Aeneas, who's got V for Vitesse. So experience versus Vitesse is 0, and then Vitesse versus experience is 0. Nothing there. And then finally F and F for Agenor and Menelaus. So nothing there. Now we get a roll 6 dice. We get a 3, a 1, a 9, and a 0. 9 and a 0. Oh, that's going to be a rough one. And then a 4 and a 3. I wish I had a way of showing you my math here. That would make it a little more interesting than just hearing me mumble. But for the first battle, Eurypylus has a 5 and a 6 to a 3 on Pilates. So that's a 3 there. And so there's 3 points towards the Greeks. So 3 minus 3, your hit points minus 3 is 0. So this guy is killed. Okay. Idiomene has 9, 10, 11, 12 to 4. So 8 towards the Greeks there. And Aeneas has a 5 minus 8, which is a negative number. So Aeneas is killed. And then Menelaus, I guess this is supposed to be Menelaus. Let's see, he's got a 7, 8 to 6. So 2 towards him. And so Agenor is a 3 minus 2 or a 1. And a 1 means... Okay, a 1 is seriously wounded, so he's got to go 2 more rounds. He's at round 6. He won't come back for 3 rounds. Okay, so that would, and a +2 victory points. I need to get the victory points for the Greeks. They get 1, 2 for him, and then 3 points for each of the guys killed. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then I'm going to move the points de victory to this, and this times 10 is going to go up at the top. So this shows it's going to be 10 plus 6 or 16 points. That ends the turn, I think. Okay, yeah, I think so. We send the gods back to Olympus. We send these guys back to camp. Oh, we still got our we still had to do the armies fight each other. So the Greeks had a +3. And then they also, for Hephaestus, they got +1. So they have a +4. And then the Trojans didn't get anything. So Greeks go with a 9. And then the Trojans got a 9. So the Greeks win it 13 to 9. So they get 2 more points. 1, 2. Okay. We move to turn 8. And we're going to start. This is a random turn. So we roll a 0. So no random event. The Greeks will see who can we get for Greeks. Now this is a Trojan turn. Neotome, Aquilus, Ajax, and Nestor. The Greeks will, okay, then the Trojans will go. Their camp's getting a little bit sparse here. In fact, we're running into the problem with the Trojans that they're going to have to send. I'm going to have to send Hector in. Because they're down to 5 guys. They're just down to 5 heroes. I've never seen the Trojans get beat so badly. Excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4. And leaving poor old Paris back. He's got Helen to keep him busy, so he's got things going. Athena and Ares. Okay, we'll turn our Trojans over. And let's see, this is a Trojan turn, so 5 and 5, yeah, we'll fight that one out. 4 and 3, 5 and 4, 4 and 3. Okay, looks like this one, I'm going to send them back to camp. And then we're going to start doing our odds. Okay, we've got a Neoptome versus Hector is a 5 to 5. Okay, and then Ajax, let me pull my mic up a little bit. Ajax is at a 4 to Sarpedon's 5. And then finally, Nestor is a 3 at Diphobes 4. Okay, then we're going to figure out the divine intervention here. Okay, Athena is on the side of the Greeks, so she won't help them out any. Is there anybody she doesn't really like? She doesn't like Paris. Okay. And Ares is on the side of the Trojans. So no help either with the divine intervention there. Okay, Neoptome and Hector are both Fs. So there's nothing. And then Ajax is a V, Vitesse against Sarpedon's F. Nothing there, but a F against a V is +1. So Sarpedon gets a +1. And then finally F and E. Nestor has experience. And he's up against force, so he gets +1. And then F and E, force against experience, is nothing. So, okay, make our rolls. 6 of them. 0, 0, 7, 7, 5, 1. Okay, so the only one that's really going to matter is that last one, that third one over. Okay, so Hector and Neotome are 0 and 0, so neither of those guys win. So just send them both back to camp. No points. That was a tie. Okay, the Ajax and Sarpedon. That's a 6-4. So Sarpedon has a 2 advantage. And then 5 minus 2 is 3. So with a 3, I always have to look at this. Slight wounds. So Ajax is out for a round. And we'll go wearing Grex. And then the Trojans will get, let's see, 2 points for that? 1 point. Okay, so the Trojans get a point. Okay, and then the Nestor Nestor has a 9-5, so difference of 4. And 4 minus 4, Diaphobe is out. So he's been killed, giving the Grex another 3 points. 1, 2, 3, and the Grex will move forward here 1. Okay. We roll for battle. It's tied up, so we can just roll a d10. 7 to 8. 7 for the Greeks, 8 for the Trojans, so they get 2 points. Okay, everybody goes back to camp, or Olympus. And then we go to round 5, or turn 5. Turn 5. Now, turn 5 is a scripted event. Menelaus challenges Paris. Okay. So we got to start with those two. Menelaus and Paris. Okay. And place these two figures facing each other for hero combat. If Menelaus wins by killing Paris, then Paris becomes seriously wounded. Okay, we might as well just flip these guys because there's not much left. Now the question is what happens if I'm out of heroes? That could be an interesting situation. Okay. And we'll go to our Greek camp. Here's the Greeks. Let's see, who do I want? Who do I want? Who do I want? Who do I want? I'm going to keep, we're going to go a 4, a 5, and a 3 again. I'm going to try to eliminate those Trojans. Get rid of this. Here's the Greek camp. Okay, the gods. We've got Apollo for the Trojans. And Hephaestus. Okay, so we've got positive points for both. Let's flip our Trojans over. Unmask them. Okay, the Greeks can decline a battle. They can't decline the first battle, but they can decline another one. 5 and 4. Sarpedon. Let's do Nestor and Hector. Okay. Now, I don't know if the Greeks have to decline a battle or not, but... Oh, Ulysses came back. We'll send him to camp, because, yeah, he comes back as a reserve. Okay, let's do the Menelaus battle with Paris. Let's just go ahead and do that first. They're both a 3 and 3. And then... let's see what the gods... The divine intervention. Okay, so Apollo... for Paris gives him a +2. And Hephaestus for Menelaus, let's see, he's just treated as a random Greek, so he gets +1. And then F versus force versus H. Abilité. Skill. Force versus skill. Abilité. So we get a +1 for that. And then abilité versus force is a 0. Then we roll. 8 and 1. Ooh, 8 and 1. So Menelaus gets a 13, and Paris gets a 3, 4, 5, 6. which is more than enough to send Paris. Now, normally he would be dead, but he is seriously wounded. So we will put him ahead 3, 1, 2. He's out those 2, and then he comes back here. And the Greeks take 3 more points. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we can do the rest of these battles. Sarpedon versus Diomedes, so 4 to 5. Okay, Apollo gives Sarpedon a +1, +2, and then Hephaestus gives Diomedes a +1. We roll, let's see, F versus H. Okay, force versus H. Abilité is a +1 for Sarpedon, and then an H for F. Nothing. Okay, then we'll go ahead and we'll go on to this one to Neotome is a 5 to Helenos is 3. Helenos gets a +2. Neoptone gets a +1 because of divine intervention. And then force versus R. Force versus Rus is a -1. Rus versus force is a +1. And then we roll. Let's see, we need to roll 4 times. So first of all, for the Sarpedon Diomede fight, we get a 3 and a 6. And then for the Neotome Helenos fight, we get a 1 and a 6. Okay, so we're adding everything up. So first of all, Diomede gets a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to Sarpedon's 5, 6, 7, 8, and 6 is a 14. Oof. Okay. More than 4. So Diomede is killed. Send him to camp, and the Trojans will get 2 more points. Okay. Then finally Helenos and Neoptome. Neoptome gets a 5, 6, 7, 6, 6. Okay. Helenos gets a 3, 5, 6, 12. 12 to 6. So that's a 6 difference. So Helenos gets a 6, and then 4 minus 6 for Neotone is a -2, so he's killed. And then we're going to roll to see who wins the battles. Apollo gives them a +2, so we have the Trojans have a 4, +4, and then Hephaestus gives a +1, so +4 to +2. So Trojans get a 9, 13, and then the Greeks get a 6, 7, so the Trojans win it. Okay, these guys go to Olympus. These guys go back to camp. These guys go back to camp, and we move to turn 6. So Ajax comes back, and Agenor comes back. Okay, who is up? Now, this is a turn 6, and this is another scripted turn. Patroclus challenges Hector. Place these 2 forces facing each other in hero combat. This is a fight to the death, so the loser automatically killed. If Rhesus is in Achilles' tent, there's no event. Well, she's not. She's over here in Agamemnon's tent, so we need to get Hector out. Hector, I nearly killed her. We might as well flip these guys and get them out while we can. 1, 2, and 3. And then we'll go with the Greeks. And we've got to have Patroclus going against Hector. Hector ought to win this one. We'll see. And then I think we'll use Ulysses. We'll use Diomedes. We'll use Ajax. And this is round 6, so this is a Trojan turn, so they can turn down a battle, except for the one with Hector. And we've got to get our gods. We've got Aphrodite on the side of the Trojans, and Hera on the side of the Greeks. So they both, I think, Aphrodite is on the side of the Trojans generally. Whoops. Get rid of him. Didn't want to get rid of him. Let's unmask him. Now, I'm not doing the capturing rules here. You can capture these, and you can actually sit and And player, it's more of a player type thing where the players can actually negotiate back releasing the captured people for experience points. But I'm not playing that. It's a little gamey, so. Okay, let's start with the Hector and Patroclus. Now they both have F's, so it's a 3 to 5. I always do the Greeks first. Ulysses is 4 to Agenar's 3. Diomedes 4 to 5, and Ajax to Helenos is a 4 to 3. I'm going to take Helenos and send him back to camp, and Ajax will go back to camp. So, okay. Well, what do we got? Hector. I think Aphrodite likes Hector a lot. I think Aphrodite gives him a +1. Well, she doesn't like him that much. And Hera likes Patroclus, does she? Well, Hera gives everybody a +2 for the Greeks. Okay, and then F and F, so that's going to be 0 and 0. Let's roll for it. And we get a 9 and a 6. So 9 and 6. Oh, I think he makes pretty... Okay, Patroclus got a 5, and 9 is a 14. And then Hector got a 6 and 6 is a 12. Okay, difference of 2. So Hector loses. That's going to hurt the Trojans. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now then, Agenor is going to get Aphrodite's going to give him a +1, I think. Yeah, she gives every Trojan a generic +1. So +1 and +1, and then Sarpedon, same thing. Hera gives Ulysses. Does Hera like Ulysses? She gives him a +2. And then the other guy, Diomedes, is a +2. And then, okay, Force and R. Okay, Force versus Rus is -1. So Agenor does a -1. And then Rus versus Force is a +1. And then for Diomedes, H and F. Okay, H abilité versus Force is nothing, and Force versus abilité is a +1. So Sarpedon gets a +1. Let's roll those 4 dice. I got a 9, a 0, a 0, and a 1. Boy, those 9s make things... Those pretty much wipe these guys out. Okay. 5, 6, 7, and 9 is 16 that Ulysses got. Agenor got a 3, 4, 3. Agenor is now gone. And 1, 2. Man, the Greeks are cleaning up in this one. 6. Okay. And a 6 for Diomedes, and a 8 for Sarpedon. Sarpedon's been pretty tough. Okay, so Diomedes now is at a 2, and a 2 I think is a serious wound. Okay, 2 is a slight wound. Okay, so Diomedes is out for a turn, and that is it. So the Aphrodite gives them an overall +1, and Hera gives them a +2. So Aphrodite gives them a +1, so the Trojans have a +2 to the army fight, and Hera gives them a +2, so they get a +4 for the Greeks. So +2, +4, okay. Trojans get a 7, and the Greeks get a 6, okay. So the Trojans get that. 1, 2. And we'll send everybody back to camp. Send these guys back to Olympus. And that ends turn 6. We go to turn 7. Random event. We roll a 5. Okay, 5 is Briseis. If Briseis is in Agamemnon's tent, she restored to Achilles and returns to his tent. If she's in Achilles' tent, she remains there. So she gets to go to see Achilles. They're both together. Okay. Now, the Greeks will send their guys out. Let's make Ulysses and Patroclus. I don't know now. Achilles has no reason to join because Patroclus lives. We're going to just put him out there. Ajax is out there. And this is a Greek turn. Okay. We retire them. We go to the Trojans. The Trojans have 3 guys. Okay. I mean, granted, they are their toughest guys, but the Trojans could use maybe just a little stronger in this game, but I guess the Greeks did win it. But okay, flip these guys, and we're gonna get our gods: Ares and Athena. So Ares he's a Trojan guy, and Athena is Team Greek. So they will get some modifiers. Okay, let's start with the Sarpedon Ulysses. 4 to 5. We'll go then Patroclus to Hector. 3 to 5. This will be Hector beating him will get Achilles mad. So 4 to 3 for Helenos. And I guess we'll just have to say Agamemnon goes back. I don't know. I think you ought to make the rule that the Greek, if there's nobody to fight, then these guys just ought to go. That's your choice. So I don't know. That just makes it seem like then we can play the game further. Okay, let's start with the Ulysses fight. Ulysses has a 4. Sarpedon has a 5. Ulysses has that R to force, so that's always helpful for Ulysses because most of these guys are have force. And this gives actually a +2 overall, but so force to Rus is -1, and Rus to force is +1. And then Athena gives, or Ares gives Sarpedon a +1. And Athena gives Ulysses a +3. That's right, she really likes him. Okay, and then we've got Hector and Patroclus, so force to force, and Ares gives Hector a +1. Athena gives Patroclus a generic +1. They're both F versus F. Okay, and then Ajax versus Helenos. Okay, V versus R. V versus R. Vitesse versus Rus is 0. Rus versus Vitesse is +1. Okay, so Helenos gets a +1, and then we're going to roll for everybody. 6 rolls. 8, 4, 2, 3. 2, 3, and a 8, 6. Okay, let's do the maths. Okay, the first one is Ulysses against Sarpedon, and Ulysses beats Sarpedon by 7, so that's going to send Sarpedon to the dead pool. Okay, then the Hector fight. 3, 5, 6, and then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, Hector wins by 3. Patroclus sends Patroclus to the dead pool. Okay. Okay, and then finally Helenos and Ajax. 12 for Ajax, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for Helenos. So Helenos now has 2 points, and that is a slight wound. So Helenos will be out for a turn, and it gives the Greeks 2 points. I didn't give them any points yet. Okay, 1, 2, and then the Greeks get 3 more. 1, 2, 3, and then the Trojans get 2. Okay, then we're going to figure up the armies fighting each other. Athena gives them a +1, and Ares gives him a +1. So Ares gives them the Trojans will have a +3, and they get a 7. And then the Greeks get a +3. Wait, no, 4, 5, 6. They get a +2. And then the Greeks get a +3. So they get a 7. So the Greeks win that one. 1, 2. And we can send everybody back to camp, or to Olympus. To camp, to camp, to camp. Okay. We go to the next round. We put our reinforcements in. Oh, Paris is still around. Okay, this is the round 8, turn 8. It's a scripted turn, and this is Achilles challenging Hector. Place the two figures facing each other in the space for hero combat. This is a fight to the death. The loser is automatically killed. If Briseis is in Achilles' tent, there's no event. Oh my gosh, he's in there. He's busy. Okay, interesting. So Achilles is just kind of doing his thing. He's like, well, I guess that's, I don't know. There's something messed up about the whole thing. Okay, Trojans. Paris and Hector are the only two left. We'll flip them over. And then we'll bring our Greeks in. Here's the Greeks. It's Trojan turn, so the Trojans they can send battle away. Let's see. We want our toughest guys. Who's our toughest? Where's Ulysses? Okay, there he is. And there's those two. And we will flip Hector and, whoops, don't want to capture. Flip him. Okay, Paris and Ajax. So Paris will leave the battle. He's such a wimp. So he go back to camp, and Ajax has to go back to camp. So we just have a single fight between Ulysses and Hector. It's a cage grudge match. So interesting enough, Achilles was busy with Briseis, so Ulysses was left to fight Hector to avenge Patroclus. Okay, we need some gods. We got Ares and Hera again. Okay, let's see here. So we've got a 4 to 5. And Ares is going to give Hector a +2. Hera is giving Ulysses, she really likes him, she gives him that +3 again. And then F versus R. Okay, Ulysses has got that +1, and Hector's got that -1. And we roll for Ulysses with a 2. And we roll for Hector with a 3. Oh man, this is going to be close. Okay, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10 for Ulysses. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 9 for Hector. Oh, this is kind of exciting. So Hector takes 1. That means he just goes moving back to camp, but nothing else. He's kind of lost, but that's about all. So Trojan camp, Ulysses goes to camp, Hera goes to Olympus, Ares goes to Olympus. We move to turn 9. Helenos goes to camp, and Pentheus and Memnon. So we got some guys. So that actually bought the Trojans a little bit of time. Okay, turn 9. Again, it's a scripted turn. Turn 9. Paris challenges Achilles and place these two figures facing each other in the space for hero combat. This is a fight to the death. The loser is automatically killed. For this combat, Paris receives a special bonus of +5 in addition to all other modifiers. So he's going to try to shoot down Achilles right in the heel. Okay, Greek camp. This is a Greek turn, by the way. Ulysses, you've done so well. I'm going to keep you out there. I'm going to keep Ajax out there. Menelaus, those three. Okay, and then we're going to move our Trojans. Let's get the Trojans. Trojan camp is got to be, we got to have Paris. And I don't know, I think we need another Hector Ulysses face-off. I don't know why I'm doing this. I should have made those random. That's okay. I'll give the Trojans a little bit of a advantage here. Aphrodite on the Trojan side. Hera is on the side of the Greeks. Okay, let's start with first. We'll just do the first one by itself. So Achilles is a 6, and Paris is a 3. But Paris gets a +5, did I say? I think it's a +5. Yep, +5, okay. Then we can go to Divine Intervention. Aphrodite gives Paris a... She really likes Paris, so this ought to be a lot. +3, oh my gosh. And Hera gives Achilles a +2. We have H and F. Okay, force versus H is a +1. And H versus abilité versus force is a 0. Then we're going to roll. So Achilles rolls a 0. And, oh gosh, Paris rolls a 7. This isn't even 6, 7, 8, 9 for Achilles. 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 18 for Paris. So Paris shoots him, and Achilles is killed. And Trojans get 3 points. Okay, now let's do the other. Oh, and then the Greeks got to withdraw from battle on 1. We're going to do this one here. Okay. 4 to 5 for the Hector Ulysses. They meet again. Aphrodite gives Hector a +1. Hera gives Ulysses his +2. And then we have that RF thing going. So Ulysses gets a +1 and Hector gets a -1. And we roll 8 and 8. Okay, so it's basically going to be a 6, 7, 5, 6, 5. 2-point difference. And with a 5 minus is a 3, so slight wounded. The Greeks get a +1. Hector takes a slight wound, so he's out for the next until round 11. Okay, and then we got to do this third one, and this is Ajax with a 4, and Penthesile. There we go. Penthesile with a 4. It's forced to be. Penthesile is a with Aphrodite. Penthesile is a generic. I think she's a woman warrior. Oh, she gets a +1 for Aphrodite. Okay, and then Ajax gets a. This is Ajax Jr. Ajax Jr. from Hera gets a +1. Okie dokie. And then F versus V. Okay, so F versus V is a +1 for Penthesile. Ajax is a V versus F is a 0. And then we roll. For Ajax first, 0 and 7. Ooh. Okay, 4, 5. 4, 5, 6, and 6 is 12. 13 to 5. So 13 to 5 is an 8. And so his hit points 5 minus 8 is 0, so Ajax is killed, giving the Trojans 2 more points. And that is the end of turn, except for the fighting. So Aphrodite gives them a +1 for the Trojans. Hera gives the Greeks a +2. So it's a +3 and a +3. So we'll just roll to see. Trojans get a 7, Greeks get a 3. So Trojans win it. Okay, send them back to camp. Just like kids in the summer, they're going to camp. Okay, and then we move to round 10. Philosthenes. Round 10. Philosthenes challenges Paris. Place these two heroes facing each other in the hero space. It's a fight to the death. Okay. So Trojan camp, I need to put Paris here. And we retire them. We'll go to the Greeks. We'll put him in place. Okay. I guess they're fighting with arrows. Good old Ulysses. Linus and Diomedes. And then for the Trojans, we've got these three guys. Flip them. Try to randomize it. At least I don't remember. Okay, masked. And this is a... Let's see, this is round 10. So this is a Trojan round. Okay. Trojans are going to... They can't do this one. They can do this 4 to 4, 4 to 3, 3 to 4. Okay. Trojan camp to camp. So let's start with the Paris fight. Okay, so it's a 4 to 3. Oh, we didn't get our gods. Put this here. Polar deities. Athena versus Hephaestus. Okay. I don't think Athena does anything for anybody on the Trojan side. Nope. And then Hephaestus is going to help the Greeks out. So the only person he gives a plus, anything but a plus 1 to, is Achilles, who's already gone. Wait, yeah, Achilles is gone, I think. Okay, so the Greeks get a plus 1. And let's see, this is a 4 to 4 for the middle, and then the last battle's a 3 to 4. So Greeks get plus 1s. Okay, H versus H is nothing. So let's go ahead and finish this battle out, because this is kind of exciting. 4 for the, we'll say 4 for the Greeks, and 4 for Philosthenes. Okay. Greeks get a 4, 8, 9, and Paris gets a 7. So Paris is killed, and the Greeks get another 3. Okay, then we go to Memnon and Ulysses. Okay, that's a 4 to 4. And R versus E, Rus versus E Experience is a plus 1. So Ulysses gets another plus 1. And Experience versus Rus, nothing. Okay, and then finally Penthesilea and Menelaus, F and F, so nothing there. Okay, now let's roll for those 4. I get a 8, 0, 9, 5. 8, 0, 9, and 5. Okay, so that's going to make pretty short work of them. 4, 5, 6, and 8 is 14 to 4. So easily Memnon is killed. Greeks get another 1, 2, 3, and then Menelaus gets a 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 to 9. So it's a difference of 4, and 3 minus 4 is a negative 1, so again, she's killed. And another 1, 2, 3. Okay. Interesting. And we go to... Oh, I got to finish up. Okay, then I get a plus 1 for the Greek army. Plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, plus 4 to 0. Okay, so the Trojans roll and get a 3, and then they win easily. 1, 2, and we go to a 5. So, okay, send everybody back to camp. And this will be the last round of the combat. And then we'll go to the Trojan horse round. So Hector is back. This is a random round, too. Let's just put our Trojans in. And we've got 2 sad Trojans left. And let's see, the Greeks get to decide this one. And who are we going to send out? Let's see here. Greeks, we'll go with the Greeks. Oh, good old Ulysses. We're going to always send him out. I don't know. Let's send Philosthenes. He's done pretty good. He's done well. We get some gods involved. Apollo, well, he helps. And Zeus. Okay, so the gods, with Zeus, the gods don't add anything. And we unmask these guys. Okay, so I think we're going to take the Philosthenes and Hector fight and send those guys back to camp. Whoops, don't do that. Where'd they go? Okay, Hector's gone back to camp. The Greeks decide to send him home. So we only have one fight, the Ulysses and Helenos fight. Okay, it's a 4-3. Gods don't add any modifiers. They're both ours, so they both have their ruse that they're able to practice. So that evens things out there. So we're left with just a basic die. Ulysses will get an 8 and a 0. Helenos. So 8 and 0. That's easily enough to send Helenos packing to Hades. Greeks get another 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, then we've done all that. Now we get to add up our points. Basically, we go to the next turn, and that is the horse. So here comes the horse. And we fill the horse up. And let's go back through the horse rules. Now, the horse takes, we put all the Greeks in it, but Agamemnon and Nestor. I don't know, this is kind of silly, but it's kind of fun, too. It kind of has a payoff. Okay, get out of there, guys. Get in. 2, 3. Oh, Agamemnon doesn't. Nestor doesn't. Okay, so, and then the Greek player rolls a 10. Starts with a 10 roll, gets a 4. Okay, we got a 4. If you get +1, if the current VP is between -1 and 9. Well, let's see what the VPs are. So the Greeks are sitting at 54. And or -54, excuse me. And the Trojans are sitting at 27. So difference of 27. Okay, so -27 points is the difference. Okay, so yes, it is. They get a +2 if it's -10 or more. So when we say more, I think that's a negative, further to the negative. So we'll just call that 2 points. If Ulysses has captured Helenos, well, he did not. If Achilles is in the horse, he is not. If Philoctete is in the horse, he is. So that's +1 for them. If Neoptoleme is, I think Neoptoleme died. Yeah, he didn't make it. Okay, if there's 7 or more Greek heroes in the horse, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 7, barely, but yeah, we made it. Okay, +1. If the Sinon event occurred, it did not, so it's a -1. If Hector is alive, is Hector? I think he is alive. Let's double check, because there he is. He's the only one alive, but he is alive. Okay, Hector is alive, so that's -2. Paris is not alive. And if the current VP total is a positive number, it's a -1. Okay. It's not, so it's a negative number. I don't know why they have that. I guess I can see. Okay. We added up 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we take away 3. -2, 3 is a 5. Okay. Final victory. If the final adjusted is 6 or more, the ruse succeeds. And the horse is placed in the city of Troy, prefiguring the fall of the city. If the stratagem of the Trojan horse succeeds, the Greek players win. They do not, because I had a 5. If the stratagem fails, but the victory point total is 0 or negative number, the result is a draw. Okay, yeah, the victory points was negative 27. Except for Menelaus, who lost both his wife and the right to rule Sparta. And so that is it. It actually came out to be a draw. That's kind of amazing. So that's the game. The Guerre De Troie. I think it's kind of fun. I think it works better probably as a solo game. There's not a lot of strategy to this. It's mostly kind of one of those little solitaire kind of diversion type things that some of these war games have. If you like that kind of thing, this is great. If you're not into it and you want a lot of tactical stuff, this is obviously not the best way to spend an hour. So that's what I got. Anyway, I liked it. I think it covers a topic that they don't get a lot of coverage on, and I think that's kind of cool. So that's what I'm going to leave you with this week. We'll be back next week with more. Thanks a lot, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.